Well, the new Mortal Kombat movie has finally arrived, so the question is, does it live up to the hype? I have to be honest, I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I ended up liking. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Get over here!
So Mortal Kombat 2021 is a dark and gritty reboot that is supposed to take Mortal Kombat back to its roots and possibly set up future films. If you think about it, Mortal Kombat is ripe to turn into a movie franchise. If they intend to move forward with this franchise, I'm just going to need them to come with a little bit better effort than they did this time out. Everywhere I look, people seem to be praising this movie based on the violence and the fatalities, which I understand. All of those things should be in Mortal Kombat and were a welcome addition in this movie. I love all that stuff just as much as the next person, but when I watch a movie, I need a little bit something more.
Move this man!
And to me, this movie didn't deliver on that something more. The only real story we can speak of for this movie is the Scorpion and Sub-Zero conflict, which is quite honestly the best part of the movie, and I assume that would be so just from watching the trailers. Seeing that legendary rivalry play out in live action, it was great. It should be noted that if you watched the Mortal Kombat animated movie Scorpion's Revenge, you would have seen a similar story play out, and honestly, it was done better in the animated version. But the real problem isn't the Scorpion and Sub-Zero story which bookends this movie, it was everything in between. And it starts with the character of Cole Young, and he's basically a failed mixed martial artist who has very famous lineage. Cole Young is basically set up as the audience's window into this world. He's just thrust into this situation, he doesn't really know what's going on, he doesn't know anything about himself. You know, you've seen this all before.
Fuck me, right?
But honestly, his character is pretty boring. There's been a lot of talk about Johnny Cage not being in this movie, and I gotta be honest, it would seem like his character would be much more suited for the role that Cole Young is playing. I mean, what's more fish out of water than a Hollywood actor being thrust into this conflict between two realms? That seems like it would make a lot of sense, so I'm not sure why they didn't go in that direction. In fact, Cole's existence in this movie actually pushes famous Mortal Kombat characters who are in the movie to the side. Both Liu Kang and Kung Lao feel like side characters in a Mortal Kombat movie, and that just doesn't really sit well with me. Even Shang Tsung and Raiden, who are leading each side in this conflict, both of those characters are very underwhelming. They honestly don't stand out like they did in, say, the 1995 Mortal Kombat. And in the 1995 Mortal Kombat, they're actually less video game accurate. I guess some things just don't translate well from video game to live action.
That makes sense.
One thing that they didn't even bother to translate was the tournament itself. This whole movie is a result of Shang Tsung's meddling pre-tournament. Now, I figured there would be more consequences for his actions considering all the rules around Mortal Kombat, but Shang Tsung pretty much does all this and gets away with it unscathed. He literally sends Sub-Zero out to kill Earth's champions before the tournament, and that's what this movie is. And Raiden really doesn't step in like you figured he would. Raiden's pretty much just on the defensive for most of this movie, and it really makes his character feel wasted. Also, I'm not going to get into who exactly, but if all these characters die pre-tournament, then who's going to be there to carry on the tournament when it actually happens? And some of these deaths are pretty major. There is a throwaway line about how there's going to be more fighters who step up and take their place, but it just feels like the filmmakers kind of covering their tracks a little bit.
Anybody care about what I want?
I do.
Shut up. Get out.
The fights themselves really aren't that memorable either, outside, of course, of the cool fatalities. But each fight seemed to be over so abruptly that you really couldn't have the chance to get invested in them. As far as Sonya and Jax go, they're pretty much forgettable as well. They try to give them both stories about having self-confidence issues, Jax because he lost his arms, and Sonya because she was not one of the chosen ones. But everything they try to do with them story-wise is pretty standard, and we've seen this all before, let's be honest. I did enjoy Sub-Zero's portrayal as a force of nature of sorts in this movie. I like how the environment gets cold right before he shows up every time. It's really a cool introduction for him each time out. But I was, however, disappointed with the final fight, which is basically Sub-Zero losing a handicap match to a resurrected Scorpion and Cole Young. This was pretty weird to me because Mortal Kombat is pretty much known for its one-on-one fights to the death.
I'm just gonna bash your brains. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck
in.
Overall, I get what they were trying to do with this movie, but it just kind of missed the mark for me. And the story that they were trying to tell was just kind of a disappointment and really wasn't well executed. I can hear it already. We don't watch Mortal Kombat for the story, we watch it for the fights. If that's the case, then just go play the game and we don't need a movie for it. To me, this movie doesn't feel like it captures the tone of the beloved video game. I understand they tried to ground it in reality to a certain extent, but it just made everything less interesting. And I think the fact that in some cases they leaned into the supernatural stuff a little bit more, it didn't exactly mesh well with the realistic tone that they were going for, and it just feels a bit messy. To me, all the characters were pretty underwhelming and the acting was kind of pedestrian. If you're just looking for fights and fatalities, then this movie has that. If you're looking for anything else, then you might be disappointed. As I stated, I wanted to like this movie more than I actually did, so as a result, I'm going to have to give this movie the Angry Rocky.
That's right, it stinks!
So have you seen Mortal Kombat 2021? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Nah.